Alright, Title 40 CFR 1033, control emissions from locomotives. Subpart F, test procedures. 1033-501, general provisions. A. Except for the specified by the subpart, either the equipment and proceed with the compression ignition of the engine of the Title 40 CFR 1065 of determining whether the locomotives meet with the duty cycle emission with the same with the 1033-101. Using applicable duty cycle with the specified and subpart measurement emission of the air pollutant with regulate with the 1033-101, carbon dioxide emission of nitric oxide with the carbon hydrophore described at 1033 through 35 of the general test procedure with the Title 40 CFR 1065 with the state discrete mode cycle with it. However, if you use the optional ramped model cycle in 1033-520 valve with the proceed with the ramp model testing Title 40 CFR 1065, the following exemption of 1065 procedures apply. 1. You must average power and emission for the over the channeling procedure period. Specify in subpart with a discrete mode of the testing ramp with the module testing. 2. Test cycle is considered the steady state with respect to the operative demand rather than the engine speed and load. With the following provisions heavily applied with the engine map with the duty cycle, the generation cycle validation account. In fact, with the locomotive operation locomotive, the duty cycle is based on the operator with the demand with the locomotive but not say with no on target value for the engine speed or load. 1. The provisions related with the engine map of the duty cycle, the generation cycle of the validation, Title 40 CFR 1065, 510, 512, and 514 do not apply with the test complete locomotive. 2. If the provision related with the engine map of the duty cycle of the generation, Title 40 CFR 1065, 510, and 512 are not required to testing of the engine dynamometer. However, the cycle validation criteria with the Title 40 CFR 1065-514 apply that such testing demonstrate complying with the cycle validation criteria based on the manufacturer declared values for maximum torque, maximum power, maximum tested speed. Determine these values with the engine map to be generated according to Title 40 CFR 1065-510. If you test using the ramp model cycle, you may perform cycle validation over the test interval together. 4. If you perform a discrete mode of the test, use only one batch of the fuel of the measurement to determine the meet the raw exhaust flow rate. You must target with the content and with the sample flow rate with over the mode with the verified with the proportional sample described in the Title 40 CFR 1065-545 using mean raw exhausted molar flow rate with paired with each record sample flow rate. 5. If you perform a discrete mode testing group of the modes for the same manner with the testing interval of the ramp modal cycle with using 3 different dilution settings for the groups allowed with the 1033, 515C, the 52 with the proportional sampling of each of the group instead of the discrete mode. B. You may use special alternate procedure to the extent will allow with the under Title 40 CFR 1065-10. In some cases, it will allow you to use procedure that less precise and less accurate, but specify the procedure that does not affect the ability to show that the locomotive will comply with the applicable emission standards. General required emission levels are required to be enough below the applicable emission standards so that the errors could be greater impressions of the inaccuracy, but they do not affect the ability to state with the unconditionally that the locomotives meet all applicable emission standards. See if the part allowed with certain testing with the other complete locomotive separate uninstall with the engine. When the testing locomotive must have the complete locomotive in configuration when exempt with the disconnect with the power output, fuel input, the purpose of the testing, calculate the power of the measured alternate generator output, when using alternator generator efficiency curve with these varies of speed, load, using good engineering judgment. D. Useless locomotives and smoke standards generally apply with for locomotives or testing requirements as way we can measure smoke emission using the proceed with the 1033-525. Alright, E. Using applicable fuel list in the Title 40 CFR 1065 Subpart A to perform valid tests. 1. For diesel fuel locomotive with appropriate diesel fuel with the specified in the Title 40 CFR 1065 Subpart A with the emission type of the applicable diesel fuel be in either the ultra low sulfur or low sulfur diesel fuel specified in 1033-101. Identify the test service fuel from specification certification ensure fuel inlet label consistent with the selection of the test fuel of 1033-101 and 135. May have the test fuel for the commercial available diesel fuel for the but similar but not identical with the applicable fuel specified in the Title 40 CFR 1065 Subpart H. We will approve of the request if it shows that it does not affect the ability to consist and demonstrate with the compliance with the applicable emission standard. If the locomotive uses sulfur sensitive technology may not use end-use fuel with a lower sulfur content with a range specified with the otherwise applicable test for fuel with Title 40 CFR 1065 If your locomotive does not use sulfur-sensitive technology, you may allow use to use infused fuel that has low sulfur content with a range specified for the otherwise applicable testing of the fuel in Title 40 CFR 1065, but may require the correct particle material emissions to account for the sulfur difference. For surface accumulation of the test result, test fuel with any of the commercial available fuel with a representative fuel with the use of the locomotive will use F 1033-505 of the information allowable to the immediate test condition of testing with G, the subpart address of the manufacturer, remanufacturer, but apply with equally to anyone who does the testing for you to you the performing tests and determine if this locomotive to meet emission standards. H, we may also perform other testing allowed by Clean Air Act. I, for passing the locomotive to generate the hotel power of the main propulsion engine for the locomotive must comply with the emission standard with a non-hotel setting with a hotel made for the locomotive subject to the notch cap provision 1033-101 and the default device prohibition and or 1033-115. Two of the following provisions of the apply of the locomotive and using after treatment technology infrequent regeneration events that may occur during the testing, adjusting measurement emission to account for after treatment technology with infrequent regeneration description 1033-535 and valid smoke test inactive regeneration starts to occur during the test. General provisions 501. Alright, Title 40 CFR 1033-505, ambient conditions. The section specifies the allowable ambient conditions include the temperature, pressure, under which of the test to be formed to determine the complying with the emission standard of 1068-101. Remanufacturers may also perform testing conditions other than those allowed with the section which allow with the test for testing does not affect their ability to demonstrate the compliance with the Apple standard 1033, 101, and 115 for more information about the requirement to apply with any other conditions. Temperature testing may be performed with the ambient temperature range from 60 Fahrenheit to 105 degrees Fahrenheit, not correctly measured for the temperature effective within this range. 2. Presumed combustion air will draw with the ambient temperature for the ambient temperature limit of paragraph A with the intake of the upstream of the engine. If you do not draw with the combustion air from the ambient air, you with a good engine judgment, sure that any of the temperature difference between the ambient air and the combustion air does not cover the emission measurement that run representative in the emissions. If we allow with the performed test of ambient temperature for the below 15.5 degrees Celsius, must grab with the nitrous oxide emission the temperature of the effect with a good engineering judgment. For example, the intake with the air take and temperature manifold lower with the test temperature that would be for the equivalent operation ambient temperature of 15.5 degrees Celsius. Generally, would need to adjust your measured nitrous oxide to the account effect with lower intake air temperature. However, if you maintain constant manifold air temperature, you will generally not need to correct emissions. B. Altitude pressure testing performed at ambient temperatures of 2.6 Hg through 3.5 Hg with the intent with the corresponding altitudes of 400,000 feet above sea level. Not correct emission pressure effective with this range. C. Humidity testing must perform an ambient humidity level. The current nitric oxide emission specified in the Title 40 CFR 1065-670. Do not correct any other emission for humidity effects. D. Wind. In the test of outdoors, good engineering judgment to ensure the excess of the wind does not affect the emission measurement. The wind excess of the disturb the size and the shape of the location of the exhaust plume of the region with exhaust sample of the drum, whether the smoke plume is measured with otherwise any dilution of the exhaust. Test must be conducted and wind shielding is in place when the adjacent from the exhaust plume with the prevent bending the dispersion any other distortion exhaust plume in the place passes through the optical unit through the sample probe. Alright, Title 40 CFR 1033-510 Auxiliary Power Units. If your locomotive is equipped with the auxiliary power unit that operates during the idle shutdown mode, you must account for the auxiliary power unit's emission rate and specify the section. Unless the auxiliary power unit is part of the AESS system currently was certified separately with the result of the locomotive, the section does not apply with auxiliary engines that only provide hotel power. Age of the locomotive, the main engine for the idle emission rate of the gallons per hour with the specified the 1033-530. The auxiliary power unit emission rate of the gallons hours may determine the paragraph B of the section of the locomotive, the main engine idle power specified in 1033-530. Determine the representative emission rate of the auxiliary power unit using one of the following methods. Instill the auxiliary power unit test a separate measure of the emission rates of the gallons per hour with each of the publication of the auxiliary power unit installed with the locomotive with the move of the measured emission rates of gallons per hour for the hour and the locomotive idle emission rate when locomotive is shut down. Auxiliary power unit is operating for all of the testing, even the in-use testing applied with the appropriate deterioration factor of the measured emission rates. You may carry over the auxiliary power unit emission data of the previous test over the data of the same auxiliary power units installed with the locomotive of the engine family, another engine family. 2. Uninstall the auxiliary power units tested separately. If the separately measure of the emission rate of the gallons per hour over the appropriate duty cycle with each of the pollutant with the auxiliary power unit when not installed within the locomotive, you may use the measured emission rate of the gallons per hour with the locomotive with the idle emission rates when the locomotive is shut down and the auxiliary power unit is operating for the purpose of the paragraph B2 with the appropriate duty cycle is one with the approximate auxiliary power unit engine cycle, the weighted power one with the operating in the locomotive applying appropriate deterioration factors to the measured emission rates. We may ask to carry over the auxiliary power unit emission data for previous tests or use of the same auxiliary power unit installed with the locomotives in any other engine family. 3. The auxiliary power unit engine certification data of the engine used in the auxiliary power unit has been certified with the EPA with the emission standard with the calculate of the auxiliary power unit emission based on the existing EPA certification information about the auxiliary power unit engine. In this case, the calculated auxiliary power unit emissions follow each of the pollutants described with the basic break, specifically stating with the family emission limits of which the auxiliary power unit engine was originally EPA certified. 2. Determine auxiliary power unit engine cycle weighted power when operating locomotive. 3. The multiple auxiliary power applicable break specifically stating with the family emission limits for the auxiliary power unit engine cycle weighted power with the result of the auxiliary power unit engine emission rates of the gallons and hours. Alright. 4. Use the emission rate of the locomotive idle emission rates with the locomotive is shut down. The auxiliary power unit isn't running. Do not apply the deterioration to these values. 4. Otherwise, you may ask to appropriate the alternative means to account for the auxiliary power unit emissions. Alright, 1033, 515 is create mode steady state of emission testing the locomotives. 6. Describe the test mode of the locomotive that each and not say with emission but according to the E of the line haul duty cycle, the switch duty cycle, the locomotive test cycle, the consist of the warmed up file with the sequence. Normally steady state with the describe of the test mode, describe in the table of 1 section of the test mode with the steady state with respect to the operating demand with which if it is not for setting with the locomotive the engine speeds and loads are not necessarily steady state. A. The following of the provision Title 40 CFR 1065 Subpart F, the general pre-test of the procedure including engine sample that says some preconditioning which is included with the engine warm-up may operate with the engine when you may choose to warm it up or begin with the sample precondition specified in Title 40 CFR 1065. B. If the engine test is operating locomotive with a pre-test portion of the cycle is specified on the table of the board with the locomotive, this section locomotive is not equipped with the catalyst, you begin with the test assuming the engine reaches its lowest idling setting for the catalyst equipped with the locomotive. You may begin with the test in the normal idle mode where the engine does not reach the lowest idle setting with the 15 minutes you have at the start with the normal idle. Run the low idle mode for the after normal idle with the resume speed. Specify the mode section without repeating normal idle mode. C. Measure emissions during the retest cycle. Each test mode begins with the operative demand with the locomotive of the engine set with the applicable notch setting. 2. The start measure gas emission, the powerful fuel consumption of the test. Start with the test mode, continue with the completion of the test mode. Test mode 8. You may zero or span and analyze between the modes. Take other actions consistent with a good engineering judgment. 1. The sample period over which the emission of the mode or average generally begins when the operative demand is charged for the save of the start with the test mode ends within 5 seconds of the minimum sample time of the test mode with the need for the shifting of the sampling period to the accounting sample system. Resident times following the provision of the Title 40 CFR 1065, 308, and 309. Time aligning emissions work measurement to the sample period of 300 seconds with all test modes exempt in mode 8. The sample period for the test mode in 60 seconds. 600 seconds. 3. If the gaseous emissions are sampled with a batch sampling method, the proportional sample at the beginning with each of the sample period with the terminate sampling one to the minimum time that each of the test mode is reached plus or minus 5 seconds. 4. If the apple to begin with the smoke test with the start of the test mode with the continuing the collection of smoke with the completion of the test mode with the 8. You may perform smoke measurement independent of the criteria pollutant measurement, repeating the test over the duty cycle with the option for the minimum time notch is 3 minutes of the duty cycle. The only smoke with the measure referred to 1033-101. Determine absolute smoke testing 1033-525 with the details how to conduct a smoke test. 5. Beginning proportional sampling in the particle material emission for the beginning with each of the sample appear with the terminating sample within plus or minus 5 seconds specified with the time. Each test mode particle sample is not sufficiently large enough to take one of the following acts consistent with a good engineering judgment. 1. Extend the sample period with a maximum 15 minutes. Group of the modes with the same man with the test interval. The ramp model cycle with the 3 different dilution settings with a group. Using one set of both idle motors, 1 for the dynamic brake for the notch, 5 for the notch, 1 to the notch, 5 through the notch, 8 for each of the group, and strip of the mode. Highest exhaust flow for the typically normal idle with the notch 5 with the notch 8 with the meet for the criteria minimum dilution rate of the ratio of the Title 40 CFR 1065. 6. Proceed through each test mode with the order to specify the table of 1 section until the locomotive test cycle is complete. 7. At the end of each of the test number test mode, you must continue to operate sampling dilution with the system and allow the correction sample the system and response time. 8. Following completion of the mode 8, go to the post sampling. Proceed with the 1065-530. Note that the cycle validation criteria does not apply with the testing of complete locomotives. Alright, we have test mode, pre-test A, B, C, 1 through 8, notches 1 through 8, and then pre-test idle lowest idle setting A, low idle 2, speed, normal idle 3, C, dynamic braking. Your time in minutes except for pre-test can go to 10 to 15 minutes, and also notch 8, 10 to 15 minutes. Otherwise, it's 5 to 10 minutes. And the pre-test idle average and period emission is not applicable. All others are 300 plus or minus 5, except for notch 8. Alright, the time at each of the notch sample, the average period is maybe to extend with the need to allow for the collection of sufficiently large particle matter sample to emit this now as equipment to see paragraph B of the section alternate pre-test provisions. To use only the following approach of the sampling particle material emission determine the discrete mode of the state of the testing engine certified with the particle matter standard family emission limits at or above 500ths of a gram of the BHP I think actually 500ths of the gallon per BHP HR. Use separate particle material filter samples for each of the locomotive tests in accordance with the procedure specified in paragraph A through C. Match if the charge sample material with the total mass expended with the collect would cause unacceptable high pressure travel across the filter, and before reaching end of the required sample timing will not allow sample testing shorter than 60 seconds when they conduct the locomotive emission testing would adhere to time limits to each of the numbered modes in table 1 of this section. 2. Engine certified particle material of the family emission limited below 0.0500ths of a gram per BHP hour. May use separate particle material liter sample for each of the test mode described in the paragraph D1 of the section. However, we recommend that you do not low rate sampling filter loaded will result in a very long sample time, large number filter sample demand due to the uncertainty stackled with the belief of the unacceptable particle material that measure for the accuracy of the sample to recommend measure particle material emission specified in paragraph D22 of this section. Alright, you may as a single with the particle material with the sampling with the particle material over all the test mode with the local with the test cycle with the specified with the paragraph D2 of the sample, the time with the proportional to the applicable line, all the weighting factors. And it's specified in 1033-530 each of the mode minimum sample for the time in each of the mode 460 multiplied with a weighted factor. For example, the for mode with a weight factor of 3,000 30,000 for the minimum sample is 12 seconds. The particle material sample engine with which more proportional engine exhaust flow with specified in the Title 40 CFR 1065. Beginning proportional sample the particle material with the beginning each of the test mode with the specified in the paragraph C of the section. And sample period each of the test mode with the sampling time with the proportional to the weighting factor of the amplitude cycle with if necessary with the may extend with the time limited for each of the test mode beyond sample of time for the table of 1 of the sections, increase the sample of the particle material or to account for the proper weighting of the particle material of the sample over the entire cycle with a good engineering judgment. Alright, E. The paragraph that describes the test locomotive that when installed with the locomotive note that the test procedure with the dynamometer engine testing locomotive engine until to produce the mission measurements the same the mission measurement that produced during the testing complete with locomotives using the same engine configuration Following requirements apply with all the engine testing. 1. Specific seconds. Second, the set engine speed load points represented within any locomotive operation. Each set points of the locomotive test cycle described in Table 1 of the section include the transition with the 1 notch next. This is your reference cycle of the validation. Your cycle to ignore points but between the end of the sampling period of the one mode and the pointing at your change of the notch settings of the beginning of the next mode. 2. Keep the temperature of the air entering into the engine after any of the charge or air cooling of the 5 degrees Celsius of the typical intake manifold air temperature when the engine is operated with a locomotive under sample or ambient conditions perceived as specified in paragraph AD of this section testing complete locomotives. Alright, Title 4, CFR 1033-520 Alternative Ramp Module Cycle. A. Locomotive testing with a ramp module cycle with the intent of improve the measure accuracy of the low emission level, allowing either the batch sample of the particle material with the gaseous emission over the multiple of the locomotive with the not setting. Ramp model cycle with combined multiple testing with a discrete mode with a save a single sample of the period with this time and vary of the proportional weighting factor of the ramp module cycle line haul and locomotives. Shown below on the table of 1 ramp model with the cycle with the switch locomotives and shown on the table of 2 in the section both ramp model cycles exist and warmed up file of 3-2 test intervals in which the H weighted in a man with the maintain with the duty cycle weighing and then line haul with a switch locomotive duty cycle with 1033-530 when used RAM module cycling testing and the locomotive certified under this part. B. The ramp module testing required for the continuous gases analyzer 3 separate particle material filters, 1 for each of the test individual may collect single batch samples with each of the test interval and may also with a measure gaseous emission consistent with the allowed with the calculation notch gap that required in Title 1033-101. You may operate with the engine any way you choose the warm and open the following provision Title 4 CFR 1065 Subpart F of the general pretest procedure with include engine sampling test system preconditioning. 2. Beginning with the test operating locomotive over the pre-test of the portion of the cycle of the locomotive not equipped with the catalyst, you may begin with the test assuming the engine reaches the lowest idle setting for the catalyst equipped with the locomotive and begin with the test. Normal idle mode if the engine does not reach the lowest idle setting within 15 minutes. If you do start with the normal idle to run low idle mode after the normal idle to resume specified mode sequence without repeating normal idle mode. Each starting the testing according to Title 40 CFR 1065-530. Each test interval begins with the operative demand set with the first operative demanding setting. Each for the interval test interval of the ramp module cycle. Each test interval within the time mode will reach for the last mode of the test interval. 2. The particle emissions for each for particle emissions over the batch sample period with which for the emission testing interval with the average general begins within 10 seconds after the operative demand is changed at the start of the test interval ends within 5 seconds. Sample testing with the mode is reached within Table of 1 section. May I ask to delay the chart the sample period to an account sample the simple system residency time no longer than 10 seconds. 3. Use good engineering judgment to transition between test intervals. You should come close as possible to simultaneously end batch sampling and previous test intervals. 2. B. Start with this batch sampling the next test interval. C. The change of the operative demand with the not setting the first mode of the next test intervals. 2. To avoid the following overlapping batch sample the 2 test intervals. B. Unnecessary to long delay. 4. Starting with the next test interval. 3. For example, the following sequence would be generally appropriate. A. In batch sampling of the interval 2 after 304 seconds of notch 5. B. Switch operator demand of notch 6 and 1 second later. C. Begin batch sampling interval 3 seconds. 3. 1 second after switching to notch 6. 4. If applicable, begin with the smoke test over the first test of the interval for the applicable ramp module cycle, continue collecting smoke data until the completion of the first final test interval. You may perform the smoke measurement with an independent criteria of the pollutant with a measurement rerun test over the duty cycle with the 2 of the option. Minimum time 1 notch in notch 3 minutes for the duty cycle with the 1 only smoke measure with the refer to 1033-101 determine the applicable to the smoke standard 1033-525 with details on how to conduct the smoke. 5. Of the procedure for each of the tests interval with the applicable ramp motor module cycle with the other or in order to specify until the test is completed. Alright, 6. If you must avoid the test interval, you may repeat it to do so within the warming engine operating with the not setting with the last mode of the previous test interval. You do not need to repeat the later test intervals if they were valid. Note that you must report the test result with all valid testing and test intervals. 7. The following completion of the third test interval with the applicable ramp module cycle with the conducted post-test Sampling procedure specified in Title 40 CFR 1065-530. 5. Calculate cycle-weighted brake system emission rates valve with the test interval J with the calculated emission rates for each of the pollutant total emissions divided in total time and test interval 2. Calculate average power to total work divided by the total time and the test interval for each population. Calculated cycle-weighted brake system emission following equation where W is the weighting factor. So we have your emission rates, each pollution. Following table defines Apple ramp module cycle with line haul switch locomotives. We have pre-test interval idle test. And that's a weighting factor RMC, test in mode, ramp module cycle mode, test in mode in seconds. Not setting, lowest idle setting, low to idle number 1. Interval 2, weighting factor 0.3, ramp module cycle C, 1 notches 1 through 5. Time and mode not settings, item intervals transition 3, 0, 21, non-A, notches 6, 7, and 8, 600 and 900 seconds, not setting 6, 7, and 8. Our table 2 shows the switch locomotive of the pretest, idle test, weighting factor, ramp model cycle time and mode. Not setting. Interval 2 has notches 1 through 5, RMC mode 5, time and mode. Interval 3 shows the notches 6 through 8, in time in seconds is 699. Alright, and that was alternative ramp module cycle. Alright, Title 40, 1033, 525, smoke testing. Link to amended published 88 Federal Register 4485, January 24, 2013. Section describes the equipment to proceed with the testing smoke with emissions when is required. Here, the section specifies how to measure smoke emission with a full flow, open path light extinction, smoke meter with the light extinction meter that consists of the bulb in light beam and the transfer of the exhaust system plume with the issue with the exhaust with the duct with the light beam must be the right angle with the axis of the plume aligned with the light beam to go through the plume along the hydraulic diameter defined within 1065 with 1001 of the exhaust sac with the difficulty aligned with the beam to head with the path line and length equal to the hydraulic diameter such long and narrow with the rectangular duct made line to have the beam to have the different path length correct and the equivalent of path length equal to the hydraulic diameter light with the extinction meter must meet with the requirements paragraph B of the section following with the requirements 1. Use the incandescent light source with the cooler temperature range of 2800 to 3250 K or light with a sort of the spectral peak with between 550 and 550 and 570 nanometers. Collimate with a light beam the nominal diameter of 3 centimeters and angle with the divergency 6 degrees included angle 3. Use photocell photodiode light detector with this light source with an incandescent lamp with a detector spectral response similar to the phototop of the curve of the human eye. Maximum response range 550 to 570 nanometers with the left of the 4% of the maximum response with below 430 nanometers with above 680 nanometers. An attaching culminating tube with a detector with the apparatus equal to the beam diameter of the restrict with the viewing angle with the detector within 16 degrees with the included angle. 5. With the amplify with the detector signal that correspond with the amount of light. 6. You may use the air curtain across with the light so with the detector window assembly minimize with the deposition of smoke particles over the surface. 5. It does not measure effect with the opacity of the plume. 7. Minimize with the distance of the optical center line with the exhaust with the outlet. And okay with the may be more than 3 meters with the maximum level of the distance with the undeductive with the space with the upstream of the optical center line. Half a meter center of full flow with the exhaust stream between the source of the detector apparatus and or window lens with the axis of the light beam. 8. We may use the light extinction meters employing with a substantially identical measuring principles for the producing substantial equivalent results, but it was employed with the other electronic optical techniques. B. All smoke meters must meet with the following specification: full-scale detection response of the half a second or less. 2. The actuation signal response frequencies higher than 10 Hz of the separate low-pass electronic filter following performance characteristics. 3 decimal points to 10 Hz. Insert loss at 0.0 to 0.5 decibels. Selective 12 decibels down to 40 Hz minimum. Actuations 27 decibels down to 40 Hz minimum. C. Perform the smoke test consistently, recording smoke meter response over the entire locomotive of the test cycle with a reversing opacity 1%, resolution, all simultaneously recorded operator demand set point, and notch position compared with the recorded opacity of the smoke stands app of the locomotive. D. You may use a partial flow sampling smoke meter if correct with the path length of the exhaust plume and the partially flow sample meter followed with the instrument manufacturer installation calibration operation maintenance procedures. That was smoke testing. Alright, Title 40 CFR 1033-530 duty cycles. This section describes how to apply with the duty cycles and measure the emission rate of the calculated cycle with the average emission rate of the standard duty cycle with the calculation table of 1 and 2 with the action show of the duty cycle. Even the calculated cycle, the weight of the average emission locomotive equipped with 2 idle sidings, 8 with a propulsion notch, at least 1 dynamic brake notch, testing with the use of the locomotive test cycle, the use of the appropriate weighting factor with the locomotive, the application of calculating cycle weighted average emissions specified in Title 40 CFR 1065 Subpart G. Like you're not something normal, low idle, normal idle, dynamic braking notches 1 through 8, testing mode A, B, C 1 through notches 1 through 8. Line haul weighing factor is 1/10 at low idle and 1.6 at notch idle. Line haul weighing factor, no dynamic brake switching weighting factors. And then table 2 small standard duty cycle with the weighting factor for the calculated emission rates of locomotives with a single idle setting. Normal idle dynamic braking notches 1 through 8, test mode A and C, and then 1 through 8, and then the line haul, no dynamic braking switch. Idle dynamic braking notch if the test procedure generally required for the measure of the emission of the 2 idle setting with 1 dynamic brake as follows. 1. If your locomotive is equipped with the 2 idle setting with 1 or more dynamic braking of the measure emission of both the idle setting with the worst case of the dynamic braking system setting 1 with the emission specified for the applicable table of the section with the obvious for the dynamic braking set of the representative of the worst case that you need 1 of the following. You may measure the emission power of each of the dynamic braking point add with them together measure emission power of the dynamic brake with the lowest power. 2. If your locomotive is equipped with 2 idle settings, if it's not equipped with the dynamic braking with the normal idle weighting factor with the 315 thousandths of the line haul cycle, if the locomotive is equipped with only 1 idle setting with the dynamic brake with the idle weighting factor of 505 thousandths of the local line haul cycle. C. The non-standard notch if there are no notches. If your locomotive is equipped with more than less than 8 propulsion notches. Recommended alternative cycle the base of the locomotive configuration left of the A with the data demonstrate that the locomotive will be operated differently from conventional locomotive. Recommended weighting factor with consistent power weighting is especially for the duty cycle. The example the average load factor for the recommended cycle. Weighted power divided by the rated power should be the equivalent of the conventionally locomotive may also use the same power with the level shown in Table 3, Section 9, standard of the locomotive table. Subpart to our prior approval of paragraph C does not allow engines to be tested without consideration of actual notches which will be used. So standard notch power level express and normal is 0, dynamic braking 0, notch 1 4.5, notch 2 11.5, notch 3 23.5, notch 4 35, notch 5 48.5, notch 6 64, notch 7 85, and notch 8 100. The optional ramp motor module cycle testing table 1 and table 2 1033 520 with a weighting factor for the calculating cycle with the weighted average emission rate of the applicable locomotive with the ramp module cycle. Using the weight factor of the ramp module cycle with the locomotive with the application calculated cycle with the weighted average emission specified in Title 40 CFR 1065 Subpart G. E. The automated start stop with the locomotive equipped with the feature with the shut off of the engine after the prolonged period of the idle multiplied with the measure for the idle math of the emission rate of the overall over the idle portion of the applicable test cycle with a factor equal to 1 or minus the estimated factor reduction in idle time that will result from the shutdown feature that does not apply with the factor weighted idle power with the application adjustment subject to the approval of the infraction reduction of the idle time that is estimated result of the shutdown feature greater than 25% of the paragraph that does not apply with the locomotive or will be covered with a separate certificate for idle control. F of the multi-engine locomotive, the paragraph F of the locomotive, G for the multiple engine, where all of the engine is identical with the material, respectively in case we allow with the engine dynamometer testing with a made test for the single engine, consistent with good engineering judgment, as long as you test for the operating point of the engine will operate with the install of the locomotive, excluding starting and stopping, which result will reflect with its power demand, power sharing, and then use for the configuration, each for the notch setting. G. Representative the test cycle will come freshly manufactured locomotive. Specified manufacturers may be required with the alternate test cycle with the freshly manufactured Terrier 3 or later locomotives. 1. If you determine that you are adding a design feature to the may expect with the average and use the duty cycle with the average of the freshly manufactured locomotive, the engine fan significantly different from the otherwise applicable tested cycle, including weight factor. They must notify use recommended alternating test cycle with the representative expect with the average and use duty cycle they must obtain when the preliminary approval will be before begin collecting data with the support of the alternative test cycle will be specified with the where with the default duty cycle, the recommended cycle, the different cycle depending on the voice cycle. We best believe with the pros present with the even the use of the operation. 2. Provision of the paragraph G with apply with a different type of the locomotive to travel with the 1 for Terrier 4 and line haul locomotive to use the cycle to be required with the G1 of the section show the compliance with the line haul cycle standards. Through 2 with the Terrier 3 and switch locomotive to use the cycle required by G1 of the section show the compliance with the switch cycle standards. 3. For Terrier 3 line haul locomotive to specify the alternate cycle will be the show the compliance with the line haul stay will stand with include locomotive with the ABT program with the Subpart H for the part with the calculated inline haul cycle with the correspond with the negative value using the alternate cycle with the line haul with the cycle stand with the locomotive team they also generate the equal amount of switch cycles credits. 3. The federal locomotive is certified with the using the alternate cycle with the include description cycle with the owner remaining with the specific locomotive with the remanufactured same cycle. For example, the freshly manufactured line haul locomotive equipped to load control with the features modify the locomotive that operate when the consistent such feature with the chaos of the locomotive they operate different with the otherwise applicable line haul cycle may require you to certify with the alternate cycle. 5. See paragraph H of the section change with the design feature with the result of the savings. H. Calculated adjustment with the energy saving the design feature for the provision. Paragraph H. Apply with the locomotives equipped with the new energy saving the line locomotive design feature that do not apply with the feature for the improve the engine brake specific fuel consumption that does not apply with the feature for the commonly incorporated with the locomotive before 2008. See paragraph H6 of the section previously relayed with the determination certain factors feature for the considered that have been commonly incorporated locomotives before 2008. The manufacturer remanufacturers with the for the dust and emission for the paragraph the H must do with the following in certification. 1. Describe the engine saving feature for the benefit of the application certification. 2. Describe the year installation instruction for the maintenance instruction all steps necessary to utilize the engine saving features. 2. If the design will also affect the locomotive duty cycle must comply with the requirements paragraph G with the section. 3. The calculate energy saving the files. 1. Estimate the expected means for the fuel consumption rate with the BTU on BTUA's ton mile basis with or without the engine saving the design feature consistent with the specification paragraph H4. Engine saving the ratio of fuel with the consumed with the locomotive operating with the new feature fuel consumed with the locomotive operating with the feature under identical condition, including the estimate 80% of the confidence of the internal roll with the estimate of the mean of the other statistical parameters we specify. 2. Your estimate must be based on the use of the on in-use operating data with consistent with the good engineering judgment you have previously served as a design feature on a paragraph H which may require update with the analysis based on all of the new data available to must obtain with the approval of the before you get collecting operation data for the purpose. 3. With the may allow for the consideration effect with the design feature separately with a different routine with a typical type of the region with the rare of the required with the certificate. Certify the different locomotives and different engine families may restrict the use for the specified applications. 4. Design test plan with the operational locomotive with similar as possible to all material aspects with the other than the design features being evaluated to correct all data. Any relevant deficiency consistent with good engineering judgment. 5. Do not include any brake-specific energy services with the calculated value, but it's not possible to exclude the effects for the data gathering and must correct for the effect for the consistent with the good engineering judgment. 4. Calculated adjustment factor is described in the paragraph H4 with the same things applied with the broadly calculated with apply with the adjustment with the cycle weighted base, otherwise calculated and applied with adjusting separately with each with the notch. 2. Apply with the adjustment multiple with admissions either the cycle the weighted with the notch specifically as applicable with the adjustment even the lower bound 80% with the interval the estimated mean for the estimated average energy saving we may cap with the energy saving rate. For paragraph H4 for the 80% of the estimated mean for the calculated emission adjustment factor H4 for AF 1000 energy saving rate we may require the collector report with the data of locomotives will allow the certificate under this paragraph the H recalculated adjustment factor for the future mile years based on such data. 6. Feature for the considered to have the most been commonly incorporated locomotive before 2008 included but not limited to those identified in paragraph H6. One, electronically controlled pneumatic brakes with a computerized throttle management control of the van with the hybrid technology commonly incorporated locomotive before 2008. The manufacturer must claim full credit with the energy saving the result of applying the feature of the freshly manufactured, remanufactured locomotive. 2, distributed power system radio control of the optimized operational locomotive in the middle of the rear of the train, commonly incorporated with some of the, but not all locomotives. 2008. The manufacturers may claim the credit incorporating these features within locomotives itself. The A, manufacturers must claim the prorated credit incorporating distributed power system and freshly manufactured locomotive model engine energy saving rating of 0.50 when calculating the adjustment factor. Adjustment factor is 1,000 minus energy saving rate times 0.5. B, manufacturers may claim full credit with retrofitting distributed power systems and remanufactured locomotives. Or that was duty cycle and calculations. I'm still running. Alright, Title 40 CFR 1033-535. Adjustment emission levels with accounting infrequent regenerating after treatment devices. For locomotive with the after treatment, the technology infrequent regeneration events that it may occur during the site with testing to take one of the following approach with account with emission impact with the regeneration. A, the calculation methodology described in the Title 40 CFR 1065-680. Just measured emission result of doing develop the upward adjustment factor with the downward adjustment factor for each of the public pollutant based on the measured emission data observed the regeneration frequency as follows. 1. Adjustment factor should be generally applied with the entire engine family that may develop a separate adjustment factor for the different configuration with the engine family. Even the adjustment factor from the section all of the testing engine family. 2. They may even carry over the crossover, carry across data. Establish adjustment factor for the engine family described in 1033-235 with a consistent good engineering judgment. 3. Determine the frequency of regeneration. F is described in the Title 40 CFR 1065-6A for any of the operating data with the running repetitive test in the laboratory. If the engine is designed for the regeneration fixed time interval, you may apply with a good engineering judgment to determine F based on those design parameters. Identifying F as frequency of the regeneration application with certification which is applied with all provisions of the ramp model testing based on the measurement for each test interval rather than the whole ramp model testing. B, you may ask you to improve the alternate methodology to account with the regeneration events which are the generally frequent and generally limited approval of the case which engines of the after treatment of technology extremely infrequent regeneration will be able to apply with the provision of the section. C, you may choose to make the adjustment required measured emission result will determine if the regeneration does not specify the effect of the emission level of the engine family configuration. If it is not practical to identify regeneration curve that achieved not this adjustments with the subparagraph A and B with the section local to meet the emission standards for all testing without regard to regeneration. Alright, that was Subpart F, title test procedures.